This week on the Carolina Weather Group, we're making lemons into lemonade. Because that's what you've come to depend on us for. It's Wednesday, December 10th, 15 days left in the Christmas holiday shopping season. Welcome to the Carolina Weather Group. I'm James, and Stormy the Weather Cat's there someplace. We've seen her at least once. And so every time we see Stormy the Weather Cat, if you're watching with us on YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and drop a cat emoji into the chat so that we know how many times Stormy has made an appearance. That is how she gets her royalties for the show. This week, we are revisiting our true and tested format. It's time for another edition of Too Many Tabs, which also means if you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, we'd love for you to join the conversation. If you're listening later or watching later, we appreciate you being here. Don't forget to come hang out with us on Wednesday nights. Well, Frank, in the past week, we've had 2 snow events in the Carolinas, really in North Carolina, because where you are in South Carolina, definitely didn't get any snow. And lo and behold, where I am in Charlotte, we didn't get any snow either. And I'm here tonight to explain to our viewers why it is that neither you or I got any snow. We've polled experts, we've talked to the scientists, we've gone through the data, and we have concluded that it's Interstate 85's fault. Always is, always will be. 100% of the time.
Even when the AI draws I-85 in the wrong place in South Carolina.
I don't know what you're talking about. It definitely in South Carolina was your problem. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's almost right in Charlotte. It's south of Raleigh. So close. AI. I will tell you, I actually tried to get the AI to move it, and just kind of.
And the AI tells you, no, you're wrong.
I'm wrong.
I put I-85 in the right place. You got a problem with it. Tough.
I like how it half drew I-85 correctly north of Raleigh. Wherever got that data from. Anyway, I left it as an Easter egg. Some of you caught on to it. I don't know what its hatred of Wilmington is. But yeah, it does really seem like the true and tested theory of it never snows south of Interstate 85. Really, it was like Interstate 40 in the past week was the dividing.
True. Right. Yeah. Oftentimes, well, it's because of the time of year. In January, yes, it's going to be I-85. In December, it's probably going to be 40. In late February, it's probably going to be 40. Unless it's a big storm, in which case it snows in Charleston.
Well, let's talk about
Let me tell you my story about March 1st and 2nd of 1980.
Okay.
Oh, you actually want to hear the story?
Sure.
Well, I'm a pretty good storyteller. We've already come to that conclusion. Story time with Frank Strait. Here we go. Okay, so my family, my mom, dad, and I, decided to take a trip. They planned it well in advance in early 1980 and decided, hey, let's go to Charleston during the first week of March. What could possibly go wrong? Those of you old enough to remember what happened in the first week of March 1980 knows what went wrong. There was a big snowstorm that hit the Carolinas. And so, the storm came in. We had the day before we left, there was freezing rain. We drove over to Pawleys Island. I remember playing on a play set there, a wooden play set, and it was really slippery because there was ice all over it because there was freezing rain. And we were, of course, freezing out there while mom and dad were shopping, and 8-year-old me was playing on this play set. And then we slipped and slid our way back to our hotel, and we were watching the news, and they were talking about closing down the old Cooper River bridges. If you're old enough to remember what those are like, which you probably are because the Ravenel Bridge has not been around all that long and it was the replacement for those bridges. But anyway, those old bridges, they were like an erector set.
Okay.
And they would freeze up. Temperatures might be above freezing and it would still freeze and get icy. It was that bad. And even when the weather was perfect and dry and it was 80 degrees, it was still not exactly an enjoyable experience to go over that bridge. Anyway, so that's what it was like. And then we woke up the next morning and it was snowing in Charleston. And there was already a half inch on the ground. And we were supposed to be driving back to Rock Hill, which we attempted to do. That went fine, going up 26 from Columbia to Charleston. It wasn't really sticking to the roads, even though snow was coming down fairly hard in some places. Wasn't really sticking on 26. And then we got to Columbia. Had a late lunch. Everything was still okay around Columbia. And then we headed up. 77 wasn't finished yet. This was 1980 we're talking about. 77, they were started on it in Columbia. They were starting to clear land for it north of Columbia up to the Rock Hill area. But 77 wasn't open up to Rock Hill. I think might have been open north of Rock Hill at that point. So we were on the old US 21. Heading north out of Columbia. We didn't get very far because that's where the snow had been coming down really hard and was sticking, and there was about 6 inches on the roads. And back in those days, here in South Carolina, we didn't know what a snowplow was. We didn't do that down here. The few snowplows that South Carolina actually did have were working to clear the actual interstates, like 26 and 95. So there we were in our 1978 Toyota Corolla, trying to get home on US 21, which was not working. And then there was one relatively steep hill we just could not get up there. We tried for an hour and it was starting to get dark. We're going on like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And so there we just decided to turn around and head back to the nearest motel, which it doesn't exist today. It's long gone, but it was the Wilson Motel. And so that's where we spent the night, and there would not get to eat a real dinner. We got some snacks out of a vending machine there at the hotel, but that's it. And then we had to be hungry that night and then sleep that night and then try to get home the next day, which actually we did okay. But when we got home to Rock Hill, there was, Catawba area, actually, there was like a foot on the ground there. I think it was actually 10 inches, but Mom said she measured a foot when we got home that afternoon. So that's my story about the March 2nd, 1980 snowstorm.
Well, that was a story time with Frank. I was hoping to have an AI-generated video stinger ready to go, but I didn't like the one it made me, so it's making me a new one. Stay tuned, it's coming. Let's talk about some of the snow that's occurred here in the past week. So Maggie Valley in Haywood County got 4 inches on Monday. Heaviest snow for North Carolina falling during the second snowstorm, one on Monday, one on Friday. 2.3 inches in Little Switzerland, which is Mitchell and in McDowell County. Again on Monday, also Monday, 2 inches in Rowan, 1.5 in Canton, and 1 inch in West Jefferson. And we'll go back to last Friday. So last Friday was a lot of Virginia. It was a very close call between North Carolina and Virginia, and it just seemed like it really kind of stuck to the northern side of that border, maybe a little bit more than some of the snow lovers in us had wanted. And lo and behold, Virginia got a good amount of snow. So it's two close calls here with snow across the Carolinas, but we did in fact get enough snow to put down some fresh skiing snow in the mountains. And boy, we know that they really needed that. They really wanted that. But we did have some lovely images that we were streaming over on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube this week. And here's a look at what it looked like Monday in Boone from resort cams down there on King Street. You can see the snow coming down, blanketing the roads right there by the Mass General Store. I mean, that's the picture, right? That's the feeling that you want to feel when you are going to the mountains for snow.
Sure is. Oh, and there's the Mast store. We have one of those in Columbia.
You do?
I think the original Mast store is there in Boone. I think that's the original one.
Oh.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but I think it is.
The original one is in Valley Creases.
Oh.
Which is nearby.
I knew it was up there somewhere.
Yeah, it is up there somewhere. Wow, look at this related video over here on the right-hand side. These two guys, these guys know what they're talking about. They really know what they're talking about, those guys.
It may not look like that, but I think Boone's going to get a little more snow tonight, a little bit of northwest flow.
I think so, a little northwest flow.
Currently 34 they've had a couple of showers in the last few hours, but it's currently 34 with a west-northwest wind gusting to 24 miles an hour.
Well, there was even something crazier here in Charlotte. I'm going to see if I can get the Brad Panovich video up, the explainer. But we had, I can't believe I'm going to say this, man-made snow. So Duke has
Doesn't Brad own a snow machine, or does he rent one every now and then?
He does. No, he does, I think, own a snow machine, but that's actually not even what I was referring to. So Brad was starting to get snow reports yesterday in Charlotte yesterday on Tuesday, and there wasn't really any snow in the area. But what was happening, Frank, is the steam from the nuclear power plants was putting all of this moisture up into the really cold atmosphere,
Yeah.
and it was coming back down as light snow flurries.
So we were getting nuclear power plant effect snow in the Charlotte area.
We were. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely bonkers. Okay, here it is. I finally found the tab. So here, look at here's some.
This reminds me of another story I could tell.
Okay. Here's the Brad video.
There it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can just see Brad's pointing at the tower camera. There's all that steam, and again, he's pointing out like it's not nuclear steam, right? Like it's not like a hazmat situation, but it's just
That's
all that,
what they say anyway.
They claim, right? But you can see that the plume there, coming up, and it was super cool in those droplets, and they were coming back down. Okay, I'm sorry.
Now
So you were going to go to
for story time with Frank.
That's fantastic, James. We'll have to keep that. Yeah, definitely a keeper. Anyway, yeah, I've seen some pretty wild stuff from at least from the Catawba plant a couple of times. One time in particular, I remember when I was I think 16 or 17 maybe. It was a cold spring morning, and again I lived in Rock Hill, and my first job was at Carowinds. I made funnel cakes, probably made 15,000 funnel cakes over the course of 2 seasons at Carowinds. And driving to Carowinds one morning, heading out and heading up 77, and I can see there's not a cloud in the sky except for this huge one that's in the direction of the Catawba Nuclear Plant. And I'm saying,
huge one, yes.
And then I see that it's can get a little closer to it, and I can see, yeah, it's definitely coming from the Catawba Nuclear Plant. It's just that it's putting so much moisture into the atmosphere, which isn't really all that deprived of moisture, and it's really cold, and the conditions just look like a huge mushroom cloud that's going up to 30,000 feet.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I thought there was some sort of huge fire or something, because it's just this big vertical cloud.
Yeah, sometimes when it's just right, the steam cloud just goes straight up goes way up sometimes.
Yeah, it's really prominent if you're on 485 driving from Matthews towards Pineville. You come through that Ballantyne area, you're pointed straight at it there on the inner loop, and you could just see it. And I don't know, yeah, it could be a little scary, I think, if you don't know what it is.
Yeah, so it's not a huge shock to me that we've actually had. I don't know if it's totally nuclear power plant effect snow, but because it was cloudy otherwise, right? So at the time.
Yeah, we had ice forming on the broadcast tower because you got 1,500 feet up, and it was cold enough up there. Finally we were below freezing during the overnight hours here in Charlotte on Tuesday morning. We actually had a 2-hour school delay, and then because they worried about black ice following all that rain we had on Monday. Yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So again, this has been
story time with Frank.
I asked it to generate the same video. It just changed the voiceover, but it completely changed the video and the voiceover. Oh man, I wanted an open and a close. Anyway, I'm all out of AI credits for today, folks. So it's
totally worth it, though.
Totally worth my 3 free video transcodes.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about how it's going to snow again.
Yeah,
in a lot of the same places.
So I thought I would start by showing the when do we think it's going to snow again? Like 3 or 4 days?
A little bit of northwest flow snow tonight in the mountains. Again, not a lot. And then Friday morning, there's going to be another one of these Alberta Clipper systems that comes through, and it's going to cause some snow, mainly in Virginia. Some of it probably does sneak into North Carolina, especially in the mountains, but it's not even getting down to I-40 this time. There's not really a road up there, I guess. So we'll just call it somewhere close to the North Carolina-Virginia line, but some of it, especially in the mountains, does sneak on the North Carolina side of the line. And that's with that system. It's starts in the wee hours of Friday, I guess, and runs into the mid to late morning hours. It may warm up enough during the day that it turns over to rain, and some of you get kind of ripped off that way. But it looks like
Carolina
at least some snow in the air. It may not stick. It may not be enough to stick in North Carolina, but no, the little itty bitty kind of snow coming our way for the end of the week.
All right. Here's a live look tonight.
Well, not our way, but to that area. The rest of us is just going to stay dry. There's not a lot of moisture, which is typical for Alberta Clipper systems to be generally starved of moisture.
If you're Peter Forrester in Charlottesville, Virginia, maybe you can get something out of it. Here is a look tonight at beach from Resort Camp. So again, it just looks really nice up there. If you're sitting inside by the fire listening to Frank's stories and this is what's outside your window, it's a win-win situation, I feel.
Yep. Pretty.
All right, so let's talk a little bit, if we can even think this far ahead. What is Christmas going to look like? What is Christmas Eve going to look like? So NOAA has their 8 to 14 day outlook precipitation. This gets us all the way to Christmas Eve. This just kind of gives us like below or above averages. So we're looking at probably a little below average for precipitation. Reminder, snow is a form of precipitation. So if you're hoping for one of those rare white Christmases, that doesn't bode too well for you, especially since we might actually, Frank, have a warm up on the way as compared to average.
Yeah, it looks that way. Now we have more cold to go through first, so let's talk about that first. In the wake of that Alberta Clipper system, we actually don't see much of a change in air mass. The cold front moves through the Carolinas with that, but it doesn't really change the air mass. What comes in behind that's more a Pacific kind of air mass. So the weekend's looking generally mild for the most part. What are our highs looking like? I just totally forgot, but it looks like 60s in South Carolina, 50s in North Carolina, except for 40s mostly in the northern mountains. Another generally mild day for Sunday in South Carolina, 50s and 60s, but 40s, and then some 30s sneaking in. A little bit colder air comes in on Sunday because we'll have another cold front coming through on Sunday, and this is going to be a pretty substantial one. There's going to be not a lot of moisture associated with it. Unfortunately, the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico are kind of shut down for moisture coming in. So there can be a couple showers with the front, but probably not more than that. And behind that comes a true Arctic air mass. And it's going to get cold behind that one, y'all, behind that cold front. So Sunday, it turns windy, colder air starts blasting in. Up in the mountains, it's going to blast. You're going to get winds in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range and gusts up there. So keep that in mind. The cold air blasting in outside of the mountains, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, some higher gusts with that coming in Sunday afternoon. So pickleball players, beware. The ball is going to get blown around a lot if you're trying to play on Sunday afternoon. And then it gets cold.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. My apologies.
That's okay. Yeah, I know it happens. Anyway, Monday's highs look like 30s and 40s across the Carolinas. It looks, Weather Service has 42 for Columbia, for example, 40 for Charlotte, 38 for Raleigh.
That sounds brutal.
Yeah. So that's cold on Monday. Tuesday's not as cold. 40s along I-40 in north, around 50 in Charlotte, 52 in Columbia and GSP, Myrtle 50, Charleston 55, Beaufort, South Carolina 55. So that's how it's looking. And then after that, it looks like we turn milder, but we have one pretty substantial shot of cold coming our way. By the way, it looks like Monday morning is going to be the coldest morning. Weather Service currently has single digits, and Boone has 6 for Boone and Jefferson, 13
I've got a map
for the Asheville Airport, 19 for Charlotte.
There you
go. Cold, y'all.
That's cold. Let's do this.
South Carolina, the Weather Service has 20, GSP 18 for Rock Hill, 21 in Columbia, 25 in Charleston. That's cold for Charleston. 24 for Myrtle Beach, even Beaufort down to 30. It looks like so.
Man.
Looking cold Monday morning.
Stop forecasting Monday sounds brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal. All right, so we get this big chill down there from Sunday into Monday. But then we start to rebound as we look ahead to Christmas.
Right. Yeah. It looks like a kind of a transient cold shot, and the last one for a while probably, as it looks like we head into a milder weather pattern once we do warm up from that later next week. Not a lot of moisture involved, but it does look like we generally Generally warm up and stay warmer all the way out to at least Christmas. It looks like some signs maybe it gets colder again toward New Year's, but it looks like we're going into a warm spell at least once we get to the middle to end of next week.
So here again, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook puts us a little above normal for December 18th through 24th. So again, what is normal? So Frank's just given us some really cold temperatures for the next 7 days or so. But when we talk about normal temperatures for Christmas Eve, we're typically talking about daytime highs in the 50s in North Carolina, daytime highs in the 60s for South Carolina, average lows back into the 30s for most of us. Again, some outliers, places further south in South Carolina, maybe closer to the water, you probably back up into the 40s, like North Charleston, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach. Maybe your average low is 45, but typically in the mid 30s for places like Charlotte, Raleigh, and Greensboro, back up in North Carolina. So when we say we're at or above normal, it's slightly near or above those temperatures. But as Frank talked about, it's going to be mostly dry and above freezing. So that does not bode well if you're doing the Christmas Eve snow dance. But we'll watch it, see what could come of it. But man, Monday sounds... that's the takeaway from this podcast, is that Monday morning, folks, Monday, December 15th, you're going to need layers upon layers upon layers. Your layers are going to need layers.
Correct.
Yeah. We had a rare cold day in Charleston today. Jared Smith was telling us in our chat that they had to shut down some bridges and had some accidents out there because of freezing fog.
Yep, that doesn't happen often in the Carolinas, does it?
No, it does not.
Almost never happens in Charleston. It's only the second time the Charleston Weather Service office has had to issue a freezing fog advisory.
Yeah, here it is.
So, but yeah, there it is. Because temperatures were below freezing and fog formed, and when that happens, you can get these little patches of thin ice to develop on roads. In this case, because the ground itself was above freezing, it was really only happening on bridges and overpasses. But nonetheless, there were some icy spots out there, and they had to shut down a couple of the bridges. I don't think they had to shut down the Ravenel Bridge. Maybe they did, but
not that I saw.
A couple of others they did. I remember they
happen.
said the Cosgrove Bridge had to be closed, and
yeah.
Don't remember
I like
others,
Jay's plan for Monday, stacking those layers like sandwiches. Watching live with us on YouTube tonight. Thanks as always,
sandwiches.
Jay. Sandwiches. You were talking about how the moisture in the air, the fog, the condensation freezes when those temperatures get real cold. And I had mentioned earlier in the show that our broadcast tower here in the greater Charlotte area had this happen over at WCNC. And I actually have a picture that I can put on the screen, Frank, that shows the broadcast tower and the rim ice, as was explained to me, that formed up there at about 1,500 feet above Gaston County. There it is.
You mean rime ice?
I totally mean rime ice. Sure. Tell me about rime ice, Frank.
Well, rime ice happens when temperatures have to be below freezing to get that to happen, of course, and usually it's well below freezing. But when you have a saturated air mass in place, and even if there's a little bit of wind, you can see that in that picture that the rime ice is happening on one side of each of those little metal pieces there. That's happening on the windward side. You don't get a lot of rime forming on the other side, but it's just in this particular case you also had fog in forming as in the case as well, or in this case a cloud, because it wasn't on the ground. You're up, you said 1,500 feet, right?
It's about 1,500 feet. I had control of this camera while at my day job, so I swung the camera back towards the pole. Obviously, normally it's looking like a skyline or something, and I turned it down slightly back towards the pole, but all of that grayness in the background, that is the cloud that we were just sitting in. Couldn't see anything but the pole itself.
Right. And as a result, you had kind of a combination of water droplets and frost forming at the same time. What's going on? You have a little bit of you have frost forming, and at the same time you have little water droplets freezing to it, and so you get this rime ice formation. You can also sometimes have it kind of spiky in nature. I've seen that before. It would take me an hour to find the pictures I have of the one time I saw that happen in Pennsylvania. But
Well, make sure when you Google it, you Google rime and not rim.
right, RIME. Who knows what you might find if you Google rim ice. So don't go there. I mean, that's the internet we're talking about here. Anyway, another thing that can happen when and it's not going to happen on your tower, it might happen near the ground, is that sometimes when you have enough moisture present, but it's really, really, really cold, like down to single digits or colder, you can have what's called hoarfrost form, HOAR frost, HOAR. James.
Continue.
Anyway, it's some really intricate looking and thick frost that forms sometimes when the conditions are just right. Usually when you have a relatively humid atmosphere. I mean, there's not a lot of humidity in the air when it's really cold like that. But if temperatures fall to the dew point and kind of keep on falling, when there's clear skies and the ground's really cold, you won't get fog or ice crystals to form. Instead, you'll get really thick frost to form, and that's hoarfrost. And it's really pretty. That's something you could Google. Just be sure you spell it right. HOAR.
I'm not Googling any of these things. Let's take a question from Bill, who's watching on YouTube. Why did Eastern North Carolina get snow twice this week, but we here in upstate South Carolina in the foothills didn't get any? Oh, no, upstate, foothills. I inserted South Carolina because I read upstate, but I think this is a question about the foothills of Western North Carolina. Actually, Bill, could you clarify? Are we talking about like Hickory and Lincolnton and Shelby, or are we talking about like Greenville, Spartanburg?
Well, I'll just start telling you why it happened, because the reason's the same for both places. These snows that we saw were caused by Alberta Clipper systems, and the center of the low pressure area tracked essentially right across I-40. And on the cold side of that storm, it snowed, and you actually had even some accumulations outside the mountains. But on the south side of that Alberta Clipper system, it was too warm, and so you ended up with rain instead. High up in the mountains, you could still get snow. It might have been cold enough there, but outside of the mountains, foothills, Piedmont, so forth, it was too warm, and so it just rained instead.
Yeah. We need that cold air to get here and settle in ahead of time. Bill did clarify.
Correct.
He's asking about Greenville, and I'm just reading that out for our audio listeners. I will say, temperatures aside, I'm just happy the sun is back out, because we were wedged in here.
Oh, man.
Even though down into the Piedmont and Charlotte, like we didn't see the sun for what felt like a week. I mean, my solar-powered weather station on my roof died because it just didn't get enough sun to charge, and it's supposed to have enough battery to go 4 or 5 days, which I would argue it did. And then it just, that's how I felt.
I was getting sick of it too. It was reminding me too much of living in Pennsylvania in the wintertime.
So how far south did this wedge come? Because you guys had clouds there too?
Oh, yeah. Even into Georgia, I think that was
That's
mainly cloudy for days and days.
I do actually have a Twitter picture I can put up in the name of too many tabs, because we have our Carolina Weather Net that streams over there on the YouTubes, and it cycles through a bunch of sky cameras. A lot of them come from our friends over at WeatherStem, which really helps us get a good view on what's happening across the Carolinas. And so I tweeted at them at one point when I finally started to see it break, because on their cameras in Clemson and on their cameras in Aiken, we were finally starting to see, okay, here's my tweet on the screen right now for people watching with us. So you can see, that is satellite back there in the background, and it's all just clouds. Few snow reports coming in because I think this was Monday, but I started the circle where those darker areas, that's actually the ground and then the sunlight and, like in the clearing. And so we were starting to see clearing, and again, in Clemson and in Aiken. And I think they tweeted back to me. You could actually see some of the blue sky coming in there. And I remember seeing that, like, yes, please. Good stuff.
Yep, sun finally came out here in Columbia Tuesday afternoon, and I was so happy.
Yeah, but it's still cold, which brings us to the promotional portion of tonight's broadcast. If you want to support our show, we've got a QR code on the screen right now. You can get one of these Carolina Weather Group. I keep calling them beanies, but I think a beanie maybe needs to have the little puff ball on top. So this is just a knit cap. Keep your head nice and warm. If you're like Frank and I, It'll keep your head nice and warm. We do have these discounted right now for the holiday season, so you can scan the QR code, go over to the Carolina Weather Group e-store, and get your hands on these or other merch items. It's you, viewers at home, that help keep the lights on here at the Carolina Weather Group, and we welcome your support on Patreon. We welcome your support in our tip jar. But if you actually want to have something tangible, this is kind of a win-win to buy something, help support the show, and you get a little something there too. So these hats are on sale, and I think you can even pick the color. So if you don't want blue, you can do camo or pink or whatnot.
But we like blue because it's just our color, right?
It is our color. It is. Actually, I'm gonna show folks at home what support means. Hang on.
James, where are you going, man? He just ran off and left me. He abandoned me. There he is.
You telling people I got up and walked away? Audio
Yes,
listeners, he has abandoned.
I said
his
you
phone.
abandoned me.
I can't hear you anymore. Did I do something?
Uh-oh. Probably unplugged his headphones or something.
What happened?
There. Can you hear me now?
You hear me?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear
I
me
don't
now?
hear you.
Oh no! Well, I've already talked about what the current forecast is, so I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about, James. And you don't want to see me tap dance, and you really don't want to hear me sing. So, I guess what else could we talk about?
Oh, hello.
Are you back? I can hear you now.
Well,
Can you hear me now?
I've got you coming out of my speakers. I don't know why I don't hear you coming out of my headphones. I don't know if I kicked something when I stood up or what, but
You probably kicked something.
I just wanted to thank our fans at home because over on Cyber Monday, we picked up a mini PC or two, which is going to help us run more efficiently the Carolina Weather Net, so you guys can watch it more often, and more sky cams and more data processing. And these are just the types of things that, for Frank and I and the other guys on the show, would typically cost us money out of our pocket. But thanks to your support, we're able to just reinvest back into the show with the money you help us generate, again, either from Patreon or donations, or even if you're just watching on YouTube. I know the ads are annoying from YouTube, but that is a way that we can just reinvest back into the show. So we did pick up some stuff. We're going to do some more streaming in 2026. And we're looking forward to it, and I wanted to point that out. Now I'm going to try to switch back to my headphones.
Hopefully it works.
No, doesn't like that. Doesn't like when I switch to my headphones. All right, well, Frank's going to come out of the monitors.
Well, I was just looking over in one of my too many tabs. I was looking over the normals for Columbia, and actually tomorrow is the last day for a while where the normal temperature is at least 60 degrees. So normals will be in the 50s starting on Friday for a while, running through January, and I think early February too. How does that look for GSP? GSP's, now the website's gone down, so now I don't. Oh, there it goes. GSP's normals are already in the 50s, 56, and they continue to fall into the low 50s by the end of the month. How does that look in Charleston?
Is this just your stall for time while James plugs in his headphones?
Yes, it is. Does that mean you can actually hear me now, but I don't have to just babble?
Yeah, I plugged the headphones straight into the speakers.
Charleston's normal high is 63 for tomorrow, and falls to 61 by the end of the month. And now, back to James, since he can actually hear me.
I can hear you. Speaking of Charleston, they are looking for Skywarn spotters. That is the thing we talk about in the spring, but winter applies too. Consider becoming a Skywarn spotter. Go to weather.gov/chs/Skywarn or visit your local National Weather Service office to find out how you can help the National Weather Service and local emergency management by becoming a volunteer Skywarn spotter. Cool stuff.
Spotters are cool. Yeah, spotters are cool.
Spotters are cool. All right, so I went on a little field trip this week, and here it is. Let's just show people.
Hiding in plain sight, a piece of broadcasting history. This is the building and the transmitters that take WBT-AM and transmit it out over 1110 AM across the Carolinas and beyond. Here in Charlotte, audiences have been told that after more than 100 years, the WBT brand is leaving the AM dial, a home that they've had since 1922.
So, like that good-looking guy just said, WBT News Talk here in Charlotte. Whether you listen to News Talk or not, I mean, I think it's significant, and you don't have to convince Frank and I that, if you've been on the AM dial for 100 years, Charlotte's first radio station, it was North Carolina's first radio station. First in the South, only after WSB.
South. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that
is we beat Charlotte. BT came on before WSB by something like a month. Is that right?
I think it might be the other way around.
Oh, the other way around. Okay.
I think WSB has them by a month. They've got these 3 giant transmitters in South Charlotte. If you've ever driven 485 South Boulevard 77, you probably have seen them. Maybe didn't even know what they were. Frank will remember they had to rebuild at least 2 of these towers after Hugo because Hurricane Hugo.
Yeah, Hugo knocked 2 of them down.
Yeah, but I mean, these things are monsters. But again, this is a clear channel radio station, and Frank and I have talked about this in the past when WCBS lost its all news format, another legacy radio station. But WBT here in Charlotte, 50,000 watts. That is the most amount of power an AM radio station can have. And this goes back like 100 years before television, before the internet, obviously, when the United States, when the FCC was worried that people were going to be without emergency communication. And so they gave a handful of stations across the country the ability to blast out 50,000 watts of power. And because the way AM works at night, that signal just goes. So it's why here in Charlotte, you can hear radio stations from New York and Chicago and New Orleans at night, Cincinnati. And it's also why at night, this station, WBT, 11:10 a.m. from Charlotte, can be heard up and down the East Coast, so long as, and this is the asterisk, so long as you're not west of Charlotte, because there's another 11:10 out there in Omaha that they have to
protect. KFAB.
Yeah, in order to protect. So I think that has a little bit something to do with why the current owners of WBT are moving it to FM, and they're going to move it to 107.9 FM starting tomorrow on Thursday, where it will. I did a look at the contour maps today, Frank. So WBT's AM signal at 11:10 a.m. during the day gets you essentially from Greensboro, North Carolina to Greenville, South Carolina, from where it broadcasts here in South Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. You can get 107.9 on the north end of Columbia Metro.
The 107.9 footprint is almost identical to the AM's daytime footprint. It's almost a perfect match. Mm-hmm. Obviously, at nighttime, there was this benefit that you could hear them states away, so long as you were north, east, or south.
Right. Yeah. Back in the day, they branded themselves from Havana to Hyannisport.
And I saw some Facebook comments today. People were like, I used to listen to them, whether I was a truck driver or I was in Cuba or whatever it might have been.
Yeah, back in the day, if you listened to Hello Henry Bogan's program on WBT in the evenings, this is back in the 80s, he would get callers from Maine. He would get callers from Florida. Wow. He would not get callers from Tennessee because the signal doesn't go that way.
No, the signal barely goes to Gastonia.
Correct. And that's why there are 3 towers for WBT. Yeah. Because in order to make the signal go north and south and not to the west, it can go to the east too. But so you can hear WBT in Bermuda just fine as well, I think. But you can't hear it in Gastonia because those 3 towers are needed to make the signal behave that way. Stations that do not broadcast what's called a directional signal, that's what WBT is. It's clear channel on on 1110 for the eastern part of the country, but only for the eastern part of the country. It's not allowed to go to the west because there's a clear channel station, as we just said, in Omaha, Nebraska, KFAB, that they are omnidirectional. They broadcast their signal in every direction, I think. I haven't checked their pattern, but I think they're omnidirectional. So they only have to have 1 tower. So That's the reason why WBT has 3 of those towers. They're called Blaw-Knox towers, after the
Yeah, and they have
company
that
that
little-
built them back in the 1930s. That's the reason for that shape. That's unique to that the company
It is.
that made them back in the day. Not many of them still exist. There's another one in Nashville, which broadcasts the signal for Nashville's country legend, 650 AM WSM. I was on that
the
station
Grand
a
Ole
long
Opry.
time ago.
Opry.
That's right. Grand Ole Opry is
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that station. So anyway, and they're omnidirectional. You can hear them in the Carolinas at night, and you can listen to the Grand Ole Opry if you want to, and you can also listen to the Grand Ole Opry in Denver at night because they blast their signal in every direction. But WBT doesn't. They only go north, south, and east.
Yeah. So while you were talking, I pulled up these same contour maps again, and I think we've reached a part of the show where we can freely just nerd out with our viewers at home. And so here is what WBT 11:10 a.m. looks like during the day. Again, this is like a bullseye. So audio listeners, is a nice bullseye coming out of Charlotte, and it reaches almost up to Durham, plainly through Greensboro, plainly through Greenville, South Carolina, and Greenwood. And do you get 11:10 down there in Columbia?
At night, yes. I've tried during the day. I mean, at night,
too
and
much
it's
interference.
really staticky here.
Yeah, these are like ideal conditions. These maps are just playing from radio
Right.
locator.
Right.
Like
One of the things I
no
noticed.
thunderstorms, no power lines.
Right. One of the things I noticed, lived in Pennsylvania for many years and drove between Pennsylvania and Rock Hill or Polk County for 20 years. And of course, I would try to listen to WBT. There were nights I would have no trouble with getting WBT and listening to myself on WBT back in the days that WBT was a client of the company I worked for up there.
Right.
And yeah, I would leave work at 7 p.m. and listen to myself, my recorded feeds that I sent on WBT. And then there were nights when you couldn't get anything on 11:10. Usually the heavy rains. As a matter of fact, there were some nights. There was a very stormy night that I was driving on I-81, headed south toward my parents' house, and even in Southern Virginia, even in North Carolina, just could not get a signal on 11:10. So weather does make a difference when it comes to how well the radio waves propagate.
It really does. And that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people who listen to terrestrial radio will tell you, of course, that FM has a stronger, clearer signal. It doesn't go as far, it doesn't have this magical power at night where it just keeps going forever. It's pretty confined. But so let's switch it over for video watchers. This is WBT 11:10 a.m. during the day. And now here is their news signal at 107.9 FM. Almost the same. So for their core audience across the greater Charlotte area, they're probably not going to lose anybody. If anything, they're hoping to gain because, again, their nighttime pattern is bizarre. And here is their nighttime pattern at 11:10, where they are beaming out a signal to the north, to the south, and to the east, almost nothing to the west. Because of this one caveat to their FCC signal. So they're hoping at 107.9 they will not have to do with this weird dance. They'll be clearer. I did just check, Frank, because we were trying to figure out if KFAB, the other 11:10, essentially these clear channel stations, there's one to the east and one to the west, they do have a daytime and a nighttime pattern, and they do go directional at night.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I wonder if it's the same. I'm looking at this for the first time. So here's KFAB in Omaha during the day. Fairly circular. I'm guessing that's a mountain to the northwest, that weird pattern.
I don't know. That's Omaha. It's relatively flat out there. So
I don't know what
I mean,
would
there's
cause
some,
that weird.
but it's not perfectly flat. It does slope upward to the
Sun is
west,
blocking
and it's
it.
not.
Yeah.
I imagine that there's some terrain involving
there.
that.
So here's their nighttime pattern. Their nighttime pattern is almost the exact opposite of 11:10.
Oh,
West
interesting.
and south.
So they probably have 3 towers there at KFAB because they have to protect
I don't know how else you would
WBT
do
signal.
Yeah, I don't know how else you would make that pattern.
So they're not omnidirectional as I thought they were.
No, I didn't mean
Just
to,
for fun, check
correct you.
WSM. I think they're
okay.
omnidirectional, so we can show them what that looks like.
And they're just 3 letters, right? WSM. Yeah.
Yeah.
6:50
AM WSM.
Yeah, it's non-directional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean my beloved WCBS. Oh, it's not even WCBS anymore. Now it's
W whatever. Nobody cares anymore.
I don't know. Whatever. I can't look. I just can't take it. What do you got on your screen share here, Frank?
I want to teach our audience about
yeah, let's do it.
Signal propagations. The reason why.
Everything here is atmospheric related. We promise.
Yes. The reason why the coverage pattern is different at night during the day is because that during the day, AM signals only travel by what's called ground waves. It means that the signal literally goes through the ground and radiates out from the antenna that way. And it gets weaker as you get further and further away from the transmitter. How far the signals go, the ground waves go, depends upon literally the soil. In the Carolinas, it's relatively well, not fantastic, but not crummy either. But I think it's in the Midwest because of the soil type there that even the ground waves go a long way in that part of the country because of just the type of soil that they have. It's more conducive to transmitting or propagating AM signals without a lot of loss over distance. But things are different at night because our friend the ionosphere causes the radio waves that ordinarily just goes more or less up from the transmitter or toward or radiating out into space. But the ionosphere bends those radio signals back down to Earth. So you get what's called skywave signals that can be received at a great distance from the transmitter. And this figure illustrates that. The signals that come from the transmitter and would go out to space during the day when the ionosphere has sunlight hitting it and causing it to behave in a way that allows the radio waves to just go on through the atmosphere. But at night, the ionosphere calms down, quote unquote, calms down, and becomes conducive to bending those radio signals back down toward Earth. And so at night, AM signals can be heard a long way away from the transmitter, hundreds of miles, sometimes even thousands. They're like, for example, 770 in New York, WABC. You can pick them up with a good sensitive receiver in Hawaii sometimes. You can pick them up in Europe sometimes. Yes. And one of the interesting things about that is that if you are like in along the Atlantic coast in Europe, you're actually not getting the sky waves. You're getting the ground waves because the radio signal goes very efficiently through salt water.
Yeah,
without a lot of loss at all.
Look at this. Look at their radio contour. You can see it going right across the Long Island Sound.
Yeah, you can get AM signals during the day from New York stations that have a transmitter close to the water. You can get them in like Bermuda, hundreds of miles away. You can, with a sensitive enough receiver, you can get them in Western Europe if you're right on the coast there.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy
because the ground waves go through seawater so efficiently.
Okay, here is the old WCBS, WHSQ 880. Similar effect, but not as, for some reason, not as dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
This is something that normally does not happen with FM. FM, normally, their signals transmit only through basically line of sight. Okay. So an FM station, you can hear them really well, a good strong station like WBT FM or WTCB in Columbia or WYRD in Greenville, 100,000 watt FM stations. You can hear them very clearly out to about 60 miles. But then it gets weak very quickly, and it's not because the signal's getting weaker, it's because the Earth is curved and the radio signal travels more or less in a straight line. Not exactly, but in more or less a straight line. The atmosphere kind of bends it somewhat, even the lower parts of the atmosphere, but not by much. So that's what happens with FM signals day and night, usually. Sometimes when there's a solar storm, the ionosphere starts behaving in a way that it bends FM signals the way it does AM signals, and that can sometimes even happen in the daytime. So every now and then, when the atmosphere is acting weird because the sun's being weird, You can get FM and sometimes TV, or at least in the old analog days. I'm not sure if it works as well with digital signals or not, but sometimes when things are going just right, you can get what's called, I think it's ducting, where FM signals travel like AM signals and bounce around off the upper atmosphere. And you can hear them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles away, because FM signals, they can peak at 100,000 watts instead of 50,000, because they normally don't go very far. So
and I know it's
like, for example,
do this all the time, but that's not as cool.
Yeah. So I for example, driving through Virginia one time, I picked up a radio station in Portland, Maine. And I thought, how is this happening? And I went and looked it up and found, sometimes FM signals in the right conditions can skip like AM signals do.
I mean, radar beams do weird things too. Those are radio.
Yes,
signals.
they do. That's called what we call anomalous propagation. When there is a temperature inversion or when it's really humid, of whether radar signals get bent toward the ground, and so you get a lot more ground clutter. That's why you get a lot of ground clutter on calm, cool nights or calm nights in the summer, because it's typically really humid, and then you get a temperature inversion happening because if it's clear, heat's escaping into space near the surface, and so the very low levels of the atmosphere are cooler than what's directly above them. And temperature inversions cause radio waves to bend back into the earth, and that's true of radar. It's true of other radio signals as well. But you really notice it on NexRad when during these summer nights, and happens other times of the year when you have a temperature inversion. Like when it's real cold, the atmosphere is dry, so the effect isn't as great. But it happens then too because of the temperature inversion being in place.
I do want to confirm for everybody, this will be on the test. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm all out of AI credits, but that would have been nerding out with James and Frank.
Radio nerding out with James and Frank.
Radio nerding out. Yeah. So again, here in the Charlotte area, 4 or 5 different radio stations are all changing frequencies tomorrow as a result of WBT coming onto the FM dial. They're going to 107. Oh, I have to go look this up again. They're going to 107.9. So the mix, which is on 107.9, is going someplace else. And then the other station that was on that one is going someplace else. And then the station that was on that one is just...
And what's happening to WBT AM?
So...
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. They did say that the WBT brand will continue on 11:10 a.m. for about a month. Transitional period, and then after that they look forward to it continuing to be in their Radio 1 family with future plans to be announced sometime in early January. I don't know.
They're going to make it. They're going to make it a sports radio station, aren't they?
It's sports or religion tend to be pretty popular in the AM dials these days, but I definitely wanted to go check out their their grounds there in South Charlotte, because I'd never gotten to see them. Where did my video go? So when I went to the transmitter site in South Charlotte, that building is from like 1932 that houses their transmitter equipment, and it's got like a searchlight on it, and to me it gave like World War II vibes. The internet says it gives World War II vibes. I couldn't find a hard source that it really explained to me what that searchlight is for up there, but legend would behold that it has to do with, again, this was an emergency clear channel station with 50,000 watts. So at some time or another, they may have needed to illuminate the area to do safety or security of this, what was a vital link to communications in the outside world. I don't mean to make that past tense. Radio is still important, but I mean, like, the significance of it in 1932 versus 1935 is different.
It was especially true starting in the 1950s and going to, I guess, the early 1970s during the days of the Conelrad system.
Conelrad.
The Conelrad system, which is a system that was the government put into place to turn radio stations off except for a select few of them that would broadcast for a period of minutes. So, and this was in the case of a nuclear attack.
So they couldn't be used as homing devices, right? To like locate.
Correct. So they couldn't be used as homing devices. So what they do is they'd have a station like WBT broadcast at either 600 or 1200, and they would go for a few minutes, and then they would switch to another station nearby that would broadcast on 600 or 1200, and no other stations would be transmitting. That would be it.
Oh, so as a listener, you could continue to get.
Right. Yeah, you could just leave it on whichever station was appropriate for your area. You'd usually be able to get something on both 600 or 1200, but only one of the two would apply to your area, and then another adjacent area would be listening to the other channel, whichever frequency it was. So you could leave your radio tuned, and even though the station you were actually listening to would only broadcast for a few minutes and then go off the air, another station would come on that same frequency and broadcast again for several minutes before it shut down, and they would have 3 or 4 stations that would serve each area.
Look, if anybody is just feeling like, and this is not Jay's comment, I'm not remarking on Jay's comment. Jay's comment, by the way, is that he knows a good bit about AM and FM propagation, but Frank's teaching him some new stuff here tonight. I was just starting to say before I put the comment on the screen, for anybody who feels like these are two guys who are just out of their era talking about radio, you only have to look back to Helene to remember how vital over-the-air radio can be in a time of an emergency. So like the situation Frank is describing during the Cold War, or even the modern EAS system, which tones out tornado warnings, can also be used in case of a national emergency. Jay did help us out, so I'm gonna just read this verbatim here, because that looks right. WLNK 107.9 moves to 100.9. WBT is going from 99.3 to 107.9. WPZS 100.9 becomes 1610 AM. WXMG, the upcoming WLNK, is going to 99.3. So yeah, so the mix format, which is currently on 107.9, is going to be on both 99.3 and 100.9. It's I have some presets in my car I apparently need to change tomorrow. Is really what this boils down to.
Sounds like it. And a lot of other charlatans and other people in the market. A lot of other charlatans.
I mean, in the last few minutes of the show, it's probably worth, the consolidation of media companies means that one radio company in Charlotte owns 5-ish stations here, while another company owns like 5-ish stations, right? So the number of owners is more limited than it used to be, and that's why you end up with these groups that have a portfolio of 5 stations.
Yep. That is for people who are still listening to the radio at all. For better or for worse. A lot of people are listening to podcasts and their own playlist via Bluetooth in their head unit. So that is what it is.
We got a new car less than a year ago, and my wife is tired of me complaining about how hard it is to operate the radio, because I actually want to go through presets, and the radio just really wants me to play Spotify or anything from my phone.
Yeah. And when you can convince it to actually give you the radio, it says, "Oh, go to this preset, go to that preset. Oh, you want to like scan? Okay, I'll scan for you. No problem. No, I want to actually tap every single channel to see what's there, and it won't let you do that anymore, will it?"
That's why Frank and I get along, everybody. Keep in mind, I grew up listening to Frank on the radio, so this is just a full circle for me. All right, I think that's our program. I think that means I get to play this.
This has been Story Time with Frank.
There we go. I should really change that dog for a cat.
You need to change it to a tabby cat with an orange spot on her head.
Yeah.
And she's been suspiciously absent. When we're done, I should probably check and see what's going on with her, because she's usually here. I do have the other cat, Florence, over there, but she's not going to come over here and jump on the table the way Stormy does.
Stormy's sitting in the other room tuning the radio.
That may be.
All right. Well, we are winding down this year, and appreciate you being here with us for another episode of Frank and James Blurred Out Random Stories.
Mm-hmm. And bore you with radio technical stuff.
Really, really technical stuff.
Yeah. Thankfully, this hasn't been terribly technical. We haven't had to use any mathematical equations or anything like that. It's just general concepts.
I couldn't do that if I wanted to.
Yeah, me neither.
But
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I
I have a
remember
habit
that
of
there
cutting you off.
are some equations I've looked at before, but I don't remember any of them. I don't remember even the meteorology stuff. I remember that there is a vorticity equation and there is a continuity equation. I just can't derive it or even remember it, how to write it out for that matter.
Math.
I used to be able to do that stuff, and then I went now 25 years without using it. Just only needing to remember the concept and not having to actually derive the equations anymore. So
Now we have computers.
right.
All right, I'm going to roll the credits. We'll see you again back here soon for another edition of the Carolina Weather Group. Good night.
It'll be good.